Drugs, medicine, and medicinal. From being on this path for nearly a decade, those get a bit confused. Like, we'll start with medicine and drugs. Taking cocaine or heroin is always a drug. And part of what I'm going to get into is more about what makes ayahuasca and other medicines unique, but specifically ayahuasca. So if drugs are on this side of cocaine and heroin, kind of extreme, I know, but there's no heroin-based ceremony that you go to for your own spiritual enlightenment, right? On the other end, if you take something like ayahuasca, you would never want to drink ayahuasca and then go, yeah, I'm going to go to the concert or go salsa dancing, because it has a purgatory effect, meaning you're going to vomit most likely, and it moves things energetically. So that, from what I've seen, you could try to do it some other way. Don't film it and put it on the internet because it'll be wild. But you can't really take ayahuasca out of ceremony, or it can have really disastrous results. What a lot of people are doing, or sometimes there's things in the middle. Things in the middle could be what I call medicinal, or potentially medicinal, or drugs. MDMA, LSD, ketamine. Those three are synthetic substances. You could argue they're not medicines at all. They could be used medicinally. You could talk about mushrooms. Going to this side, you take 3, 4, 5 grams and it's a proper ceremony with a shaman. Or you take a half gram or a gram and you go to a concert. It could work out. If you take 5 grams and go to the concert, it could be the worst night of your entire life. Why is this important? What I've found is these things need to be used with a certain level of respect and reverence. Ayahuasca, for example, and this may shock some of you, some of you may not know, how the facilitators and how the shaman lives their life directly impacts, if even on a subtle level, depending on your beliefs, how your experience will go. So let's put it in a context. Let's say you're drinking ayahuasca in Las Vegas, in an hour outside of Las Vegas. And it's a guy that has a problem with sleeping around, whether he's married or not. And he's going to a shaman, whether it's a good shaman or not, it's kind of subjective. And that shaman is currently sleeping around or cheating on his wife. Now, the shaman might be, hey, I have things in order, it's fine, whatever, some kind of justification. When that shaman receives or makes that medicine, in some level, even if subtly, he will impregnate his stuff, his actions, his behaviors onto that medicine. So someone is going to that ceremony who lives in Vegas, who's been playing the field too much as a guy, who's making great money, who wants to build a family, who wants to create a relationship and get over this womanizing playboy phase. And without knowing it, or maybe he does know it, that shaman, as he serves or makes that brew, is subtly contaminating, or maybe majorly contaminating, that person with the problem the shaman has is the same problem the person is trying to heal. We live in a time of weird stuff. Like one I heard a couple years ago was some wealthy guys, I think they did it on a private jet for some reason, not flying but grounded. They took MDMA and then an hour or 90 minutes later took ayahuasca, which is a huge no-no. I was talking to someone else recently who was at ayahuasca, and at the peak of ayahuasca, we're gonna give you Jopo, a totally different form of not just DMT, but 5-MeO DMT that hits a bit faster than ayahuasca normally. So it's really important to know what to look for. What's very dangerous is to go, here's what I found, is to go to Peru, or whatever country, Peru, Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador, those are the 4 big ones, and just show up and think I'm gonna trust my intuition. That could work. Sometimes what we think is intuition is not intuition. what it really serves is to know an honorable, clean, reputable place. And then also, I'm not here to tell you what medicine you should go to. Do I think MDMA is not a medicine? Technically, no. Do I think it can be used for amazing medicinal work? Yeah. If you look at an organization like MAPS in California, they're using predominantly mushrooms, MDMA, and LSD. Those can be great. 2 of those 3 are not medicines, but used medicinally. And on this journey of discovering yourself, remembering yourself, healing yourself, alchemizing yourself, you need to decide. For me, ayahuasca is the principal medicine. And if you get out of line, it has a correction system that cannot be fun. I'll tell a quick story. It was on my mind tonight. It was a few years ago. I'd cleaned my body and stopped sleeping around. This is back in like 2021, so 5 years ago. And I started to get kind of cocky. I wasn't vomiting as much, which I don't talk about this at all because I know the consequences. Had a few guys visiting from the States asking me things, and it got to a point where I was kind of bragging, like, yeah, I didn't say this, but let's have some fun with it. Yeah, like I know everything, I'm enlightened and shit. Yeah, I don't puke anymore. And I overdid it that night, or that weekend. Took these guys from Austin to ayahuasca. I got wrecked. Like to the point where I was puking so crazy. Several people came up to me and I was like, bro, are you okay? Are you like gonna die? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. It just hasn't happened in a while. Like I was comfortable enough with it because I'd had quite a few under my belt. But I knew as soon as I drank that cup or as soon as an hour into the ceremony, the ayahuasca was like, don't be cocky, bro. To me, the fundamental difference between, again, let's say the extremes, cocaine and heroin, let's say on this side, ayahuasca and bufo. Cocaine and heroin do not have spirits. And they're bastardized, manipulated, contaminated substances. Assuming it's made well or extracted well, bufo and ayahuasca, let's use those 2. They should be very, very, very clean. So when you go into these worlds, not only is it a drug, but you have no spiritual protection. You don't have a guide leading the way. With these, whether you like it or not, you have something helping you along the way. And then if you take something in the middle, let's say specifically ketamine or LSD, could be used medicinally, could be used for a concert, could be used for falling into a K-hole in your living room. Those don't have spirits, which some people's arguments, which I don't know if I found this to be true, I would say no, but some people will say, well, that can be the beauty if I'm doing it by myself, then I get to see the rawness of my mind because there is no spirit helping out. So if something comes up, it's like, excuse me, fuck, that's just me. It's important to make a well-informed decision, and I see more and more things that without a judgment, I would honestly refer to like a bastardization of the medicine where things are mixed and they're unsafe. Where people are an ayahuasca shaman or a bufo shaman after 2 weeks, and these things are extremely dangerous. And I'll start to wrap up with this. I've done 100 plus ayahuasca ceremonies, probably at least 80% of them with one place called La Ceiba in Hiladota, about an hour outside Medellin. I won't say the guy's name. I drank once in the jungle, someone I hadn't drank with, and I've drinking over the years, over nearly a decade, I've drank with a dozen different people, which is a lot. Now I really only drink with one. Once in a while I'll drink with this other one, but there's 3 I recommend, but La Ceiba is my favorite. I got so messed up, and all the foreigners that went, meaning all the other Europeans, Canadians, and Americans, man, bro, it took me, I wish this wasn't true and it's scary, 18 months to recover. Where in certain states I would go into after that, I would convulse for hours. I didn't know if I was ever going to drink ayahuasca again because it was so bad. And it took till midway or end of 2021 before I was like normal. The point I want to make is, number one, listen to you. And number two, know what you're getting into. We live in a day where everything is considered medicine. And someone, not to make fun, but I hear these stories, someone that considers marijuana a sacred plant, it can be. And a lot of the time, it can be someone who works a job and is going to their car 3 times for a sacred ceremony, which means in a week, they're smoking weed 15 times in their car during a week. And usually they're probably doing it on the weekends and after work, which means they have a problem, they have an addiction issue. If you smoke weed 15, 10, 20 times, whatever it is, or more a week, it's a problem. It's not being used medicinally. You can use it medicinally. Use your discernment. Again, there's drugs, medicine, and medicinal, which can kind of move depending on the context or outcome. And more than that, again, listen to yourself, listen to your heart, be quiet with yourself, go take a walk in nature, meditate, and no one can really tell you. You have to feel into it and make the decision whether it scares you or not. Ibogaine first is on my list for this year. That scares the fuck out of me, but it's on my list. And as it gets closer after I finish this detox, it'll just be time to go, and it is what it is. Listen to your heart. You know what to do, and you know more than you think. Thanks for tuning in. See you soon.